afternoon, everyone. I believe today's session has been very insightful. Even as an instructor, sitting at that back, I heard so many information that I felt like, wow, this is more like raw material for me. So I believe we all have had that sort of experience too, right? I'm actually here today not to bore you, but there are some things that I think when we are preparing for IELTS, we need to be abreast of. We need to ensure that sorry that my voice is a bit shaky, but I'm usually like that. Trust me, I've handled like many sessions before, but I had like an emergency phone. That's one this way, but not to worry. So I noted down some stuff that I felt like I need to share with you before I leave. During the session, when someone asked the question, how long should I prepare for this test? And it dawned on me that it's actually one of the major problems we face, in classrooms when students come in and, they don't know how long. A lot of them would even, okay, let me even give you a typical scenario. You find people coming into the class and they say, ma, yes, you said a whole lot, ma, or I only have 2 weeks to write this, that what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And you'll be like, okay, seriously, what can I do for this person? Because I know IELTS is actually not a test you can prep for 2 weeks and you just want to take the test. Although I know there are some, some special situations whereby perhaps you need it for visa application, perhaps you didn't even have the mind of writing the test and you get to the embassy and they would ask for IELTS. So I know of those special situations, but I really must let us know that IELTS is not a test you can, should I say, get crash. You can't just say, you know what, I want to prep for 3 days, I want to prep for 2 weeks, and I'm taking the test. It won't work most of the time. Personally, I would always advise that if you are prepping for IELTS, even I think on the British Council website, they would recommend at least 3 months, most especially if English language is not your first language. And I think we have that advantage here that, English language is more like a language of instruction in the education system and also a language of communication here in Nigeria. So we have that advantage. So, but I would always advise, I think the least you should actually give yourself is a month to prep. But giving yourself 2 weeks, and also you need to ensure that you do a bit of self-evaluation before you take the test. I tell my students, when you walk into any IELTS prep class that you want to, I want you guys to train me, for the test. Most of the things you'll be taught are basically IELTS test skills. A little bit of English language teaching here and there, but only the ones that pertains to taking the test. So you need to do a little bit of self-evaluation before you, make up your mind or pick a test. A lot of people just rush. And also again, like there's so many problems that I can, keep going on and on. Another one coming to my head right now is a lot of people rely on essay. And usually when you have families and friends over there, they'll tell you the only thing you need now is IELTS, just write IELTS and that's all you need. Most of the time, IELTS is just the starting point. There's so many other things that you would be doing or that you would need to ensure that all this your dreams of relocating, studying abroad, eventually comes to reality. Okay, so another thing I would also like to share is that we most of the time, I think about 2-3 persons ask questions about how to get materials and all that. When you go on Google, these days, even if you have slight headache, go on Google, causes of headache. You see, sometimes they will even tell you have brain tumor. You start panicking and all that. So, but in IELTS, I tell my students that, see, the best thing you can do to yourself when you're prepping for IELTS is ensure you get genuine materials. If you go online, I can tell you for a fact, I've been teaching IELTS for close to 3 years now. And when you go online, about 70% of the test materials you get are usually things, it's not like when you are going for a sword fight, right? You're going for a sword fight, you ought to train with a sword, right? But you find yourself training with a machete at home. Or perhaps you're going for a machete fight and you're training with a sword at home. By the time you get to the battlefield, you find yourself, like, hey, it's different, or what are we going to do now, that kind of thing. But, it's like that. So many engineering materials online. Personally, I would always say if you can lay your hands on Cambridge material, and I think it's also the material that is actually recognized by British Council, lay your hands. I think we have about 16 editions of Cambridge IELTS materials. If you can get them, they are like, I feel I've taken the test actually 3 times, and I know, and when I say 3 times, not because I failed the first one, no, it's just as a result, as a way of improving myself and as an IELTS instructor as well. So I keep taking the test just to be abreast of updates and stuff like that. So if you can lay your hands on any Cambridge materials, like we have 16 editions, general training and academic alike. And if you even want to really confirm what I'm saying, go on YouTube and Google or to search for Cambridge material 19, Cambridge 20, Cambridge 21, you will find it. It's an indication that those materials are ingenuine, they are fake, and if you practice with them, you're on your own. Okay, that's another one. Okay, I actually noted some of the things now as I was sitting and listening to all our wonderful speakers. Okay, the next one is another misconception is we all feel the test is hard. Like it's only for the intelligible. Like if you're very intelligent, you can go. But me, I can tell you that, okay, while I was in secondary school, my highest score in mathematics, and the day I had that score, I celebrated with a video meeting. My highest score in mathematics was D7. D7. And when I took my first IELTS, I had a whopping band 9. And that was how I got my job as an instructor and all that. So it's actually not necessarily it's a language test. English language is something to really assess if you have it in you. Can you use this language? You have a good knowledge of this language. Can you communicate in this language? That's the essence of the test. So it's not for the intelligible people per se. And also there is no pass or fail. A lot of people keep saying, I passed, I failed. You will be the one to determine if you passed or failed. If someone who requires a band 6 takes the test and eventually gets a band 7, what would that person say? I passed. But if you require, say, like a band 8, band 9, perhaps you're thinking of Canada, you need like 8, 9, and you get a band 7, you would say what? I failed. So you would be the one to determine if you passed or, but the test itself would only give you like the level, your band score when it comes to your ability. Another good thing you can do to yourself when prepping for this test is find a community. And when I say a community, most of the time you get this community, not necessarily online. You find them in like places like CBT, whereby you have people, taking the test, and IELTS is just like a means to an end. It's not the end in itself. You need it for something. So you find people, using that, taking the test for a particular purpose. So you get information, you get updates, you get real materials. And in fact, you would even get people who have taken the test before, and they would, share their experience. You'll be able to get so many things. And also, someone asked a question about if you can combine results. It's a very funny question that we get. You actually, at least to my own knowledge, you can actually combine IELTS results. And the reason is simple. If you take the test now, and you take the test in the next 2 years, your English language ability, that's if you work on yourself, will change. So if I take a test now and I take a test again, it simply means I'm combining two things that are not making sense. It's more like if you take a malaria test now and you visit a very malaria-infested society and you come back, that malaria test you took before is now invalid. So you can actually combine results, although it's not confirmed though. I heard that if you are like a medical professional, like a nurse or whatever, you can combine results for US alone. I don't know, but like I said, essays is the major thing that would make people make a whole lot of mistake when it comes to IELTS, and you don't want to do that to yourself. So that's another thing I said I was going to share. But above all, I feel we are in the right place. If you take that bold step today and say, you know what, I really want to, do something. And I think one of the speakers also mentioned that, the moment you pick a date, like you do your registration and you pick a date, you'll be restless. Even if the village people are saying sleep, you will not want to sleep. So that kind of thing, you have that, that mindset that I have a particular thing I'm working towards, and you get as many help as you can. And IELTS opened doors for many opportunities, many opportunities. There was a day, I think about 2 months ago, I saw on the British Council website that there's actually a particular program that they have that they reward students that get awesome band scores. And I was like, wow, why didn't I know about this thing when I was taking my own test? And in fact, I'm registering for another one because thing. So I feel it opens door to a whole lot of opportunities apart from relocating and all that. You can even be in Nigeria and still benefit from IELTS. I hope with this few minutes of mine, I've been able to add to the knowledge you guys have heard today. Thank you.